Hi, if someone can just tell me whether the sound is okay, please. Just let me know if the sound is fine. We have 22 people now, 33, 46. Okay, sound is good. Okay, thank you very much. I just want to get us to the point where we have about 100 people on. Before we start, yesterday we had about 400 people on during the streaming, and I made a couple of mistakes. And at least I can admit when I make a mistake. There's not a mistake in what I said. It's things that I should have only discussed in a meeting and shouldn't be on the public platform that slipped out, and that wasn't very clever of me. So I had to delete the video immediately afterwards because I can't go and actually edit the video, edit those parts out. So I just wanted to cover this. Hi Rita, Jenny, Leonardo, Vanessa, Terry, Anamart, Audrey, Sharon, Annette, Sean, Paula, Sharon, Sydney, Juliet, all the way there from the beautiful wilderness. I wonder how the businesses are doing out there, Juliet. If you could perhaps let me know what's happened to the businesses, or if things are going a bit better. Now, Yolanda, I'm going to be very careful with what I say this time. The best for that information is to actually come to one of the meetings. It's not that the information is secret. It's important that we don't have other people that subvert what we're trying to do. So I will briefly cover all the things that I discussed yesterday again. Obviously, in the meantime, I've had the meeting with the Liberty Fighters Network today. It was a long meeting. I didn't expect it to be that long. It was more than 3 hours. A very good meeting that we had. And as I said yesterday, on Monday, the Liberty Fighters Network will let the people know and exactly what happened with the judgment and exactly how to understand what the process is going forward. It's all legal jargon, so it's not that simple. I've actually read through the judgment myself, and it's almost impossible to do a video on it and explain it to people because it was part of an appeal process. It's actually not that straightforward, and bit better, but still slow. Oh, that's not. Yeah, Juliet, this is a message I'm getting from across the country that there's many businesses struggling still at this stage. So people have started opening up. I spoke to someone in a hardware store 2 days ago, and he said he had to sell machinery to pay the rent. Now, when you're selling machinery, you can't actually generate more income. And he said that the building industry has almost come to a standstill. It's just here and there where there's contracts going out. And hi, Yolanda. I normally I give my number out, the 067 607 6428. And the people normally just send a WhatsApp message and then where they are, and then we let them know when we're in the area. And we normally put the people on WhatsApp groups within any specific area. It works quite well. And then they come and they attend the meeting. So we're over 100 people now. Yeah, selling things to survive is not ideal. When people get to the point where they have to sell belongings to survive, it means the only people that are winning are the banks and the courts and the lawyers that actually run these court cases for the banks. The sheriffs make money, government make money, but at the end of the day, us as civilians, we're at the shortest end. When the government forced us or tried to force us to actually not be able to go to work. Now, when your business says that you can't come to work, there's nothing that you can do unless you are self-employed. And then you can try and break the regulations. But with regards to businesses, government made it impossible for many people to work during this time. Many people have lost their only source of income, and there's been no reprieve for them. I think especially of the hospitality industry, the filming industry, the events industry, the airlines industry. Can you imagine the people booking events, Stacy down in Cape Town, a good friend of ours, haven't been able to do bookings for a very long time on international flights. And this is a tragedy, because most of these people have actually had to do something else to supplement their income, or they have had to actually sell items that they have, property. And um, you'll always have the people that are like hawks, and or hyenas that pounce when someone else loses out because of a system and because of an international oppressive uh, governance system, where they want to literally use our government as their puppets and get them to fulfill every woman wish of the World Health Organization, and actually take measures that are extreme and beyond what can be justified at this stage, especially with the evidence that we have at hand. Yeah, Lorraine, I'm still with YouTube. They're not gone. But there's quite a few things. Hi, Willem. There's quite a few things I want to discuss today. We're more than 100 people now, so I want to get started. So the first thing I want to discuss, and it's not going to be in the same order as yesterday. I don't script any of my videos, so everything comes out of the front of my brain lobes, and sometimes it could be mixed up. But you're just going to have to bear with me. When we traveled from Newcastle to Gauteng, we traveled through the Free State, and along the way we saw many fires on farms. And the first thing that we saw is many of these were unattended. Some of those were attended. There were people actually fighting some of the fires. And we saw some farmers with their buckies and their little Bowsers with their little water pumps trying to put out some of the fires. None of it that we could see were near any homesteads or anything like that. So I'm not sure whether some of these fires were actually seasonal burns, or whether they were actually set, whether it was natural, whether it was a stompy thrown into the grass. The wind picked up a lot during that time, I must say. It was very strong. And the night before we left Newcastle, it was heavy. And we left the Tuesday. We had the meeting in Newcastle on the Monday. So Tuesday, we had very heavy winds traveling through the Free State. We definitely saw more than 10 different fires in that area. And yeah, Willem, I'll speak about the going back to level 3 thing until we see it. We can't necessarily believe it. I'll get to that now. I want to finish up the fire thing first. So I can only speak about what I've seen myself. I know that it was admitted that there was a protest in the Free State, and that burning tires were rolled into a field that caused a massive fire and a lot of loss of homesteads and so on. But there's reports going around on social media, and when that happens, I always try and find facts that there's over 1,200, in some cases over 1,300 fires that have been set by people around the country. Now, I don't think many people understand how many 1,200 or 1,300 fires are. Now, for people to go around and actually do that, and to get evidence for that, I've only seen evidence in video of one instance where fire was being set. So there's certainly evidence that some fires have been set, and there's evidence in some instances that on some farms that stores with feed in had been set alight. Now, these aren't thousands of incidents, so I cannot report on that. When you see a video and someone suggests that something is happening, or you can actually see something happening, that's fairly good evidence for something happening. I can only report what I've seen on the ground and what I've seen in videos. But to go out and say that the entire country is being burned to the ground, I think is a misunderstanding of the size of South Africa. It's horrible when people set anything alight. And anyone that does anything like that needs to be apprehended. If we can catch someone like that, if you find anyone setting anything alight, I don't care what it is, one should do a citizen's arrest. And it's important that people are trained in school to do a citizen's arrest, of course, if things are safe. So I think it's very important that we empower ourselves. We've disempowered ourselves because we trust in the police, we trust sometimes in the military. We ask for the military to come into our neighborhoods. I mean, we don't actually know what we're asking for. And sometimes people ask government to solve these things. when we are complaining about government all the time. It makes no sense that we would do that. So what I suggest we do is that we ourselves make sure that if someone is setting a fire, that we stop them and apprehend them, as we should with anything else. And I think that's enough said about that. If we are prepared, I see I'm competing with a geese over here. If we are prepared where we are, then we can try and stop many things from happening. Okay, as fires being set to farmland, it's very difficult to patrol large areas. If people are setting farmland alight, then we need to take action. As any farmers or any persons that have their property set alight should take action. But I know that seasonal burns did happen during the time I've traveled around the country. So I assume many of those were seasonal burns, and some of them actually got out of hand. This is where people actually burn sections of farmland, and this happens every year in many areas, even down in the Western Cape. And what happens is then normally you do it on a day where the winds aren't out of control. And if the winds come up under those circumstances, it can wreak havoc. But it's certainly bad when we're in a climate when people are trying to turn anything they can find into something to forward their cause. And there's many people at this stage in the country that are asking for many different things. And one of the things that people are asking for, literally, is war. And this is something I will fight with everything I've got. We don't need war in this country. It's the last thing we need. And I don't believe the people in the country have an appetite for war, or it would have happened a long time ago. So what do groupings do that have a vested interest in wanting war in the country? They try and spread hatred and try and get other people involved in their causes. And the one thing I can tell you now is that I will do anything to stop anyone from fomenting war within South Africa, because they know not what they ask for. And the only way that we can do this is to actually have more of the many people rising up now and speaking out. And it's really wonderful to see many people that wouldn't have spoken out before speaking out and actually saying, who are all these people that call themselves leaders, self-appointed leaders? Because I'm not a leader, and I don't know any other leader that's going to save this country. That leader doesn't exist. And I'll speak about the leader thing just now, because it's another ugly thing that's actually raised its head. And I'm glad that many people are speaking out now and stopping this foolishness. So anyone that are asking for war in the country or speaking about war in the country, they are trying to force either a political or extreme religious ideology. And I want nothing to do with them. Let me make that clear. So anyone that wants to create a war in the country and thinks that this is a solution, they don't understand the world powers at play. They don't understand that our government is controlled, that they were appointed many years ago to become our government, that our ruling party was chosen decades ago to actually become the ruling party of South Africa, and that we actually had no say in the matter. And if one thinks that elections where people are manipulated and threatened is a democracy, then you don't understand what democracy means. So a lot of people are against democracy, but we don't live in a true democracy. So the first thing we need to do is define what a democracy actually is. And the different kinds of democracies that you can look at, and specifically what we should use for South Africa, that should be battled out in future. And it needs to happen in the political landscape. So politics isn't the only solution in the country. It's part of the solution. There's many other solutions that we need. And I do want to speak about that. I want to speak about the political side. I want to speak about the social side. And I want to speak about the financial side of what people should do on the ground. And the other thing that I want to speak about is this quest for a leader to lead the country. Now, to get a leader to lead the country, and there's nothing wrong with such an idea, the country needs to be in a condition where such a leader can come to the fore. And we are very far from that right now. So I'll say it again. The country needs to be in a condition where such a leader will come to the fore. And we are far away from those conditions. Now, how do we create those conditions? That is very important. We have had many people from different organizations or individuals starting groups or WhatsApp groups with what they consider leaders in them. And I've been asked to be part of some of these these leadership groups. And I've seen other people speak out, just like myself, against this and saying, I see my name in this group, but if the people knew me, they would understand that I wouldn't be interested in that the conditions aren't ready. And I will actually say exactly the same thing, that we first have to earn, as citizens of a democracy, firstly, the right to live in a democracy, and secondly, we need to change our society in such a way that a good leader will be willing to come to the fore to lead the people. Because someone that leads you in war is not the leader of a country. It's a leader in war. It's a very different thing. And I don't think there's anyone at this stage that can lead us into war. The people are way too slapgat for that. I mean, most people, when the first shots are fired, they're going to wet their pants, and there might be a soaking. So it's not going to be a good situation. People don't actually know what it means for bullets to fly around their heads. And it's not a joke. And people shouldn't speak about this loosely. And many people that have never been shot at or fired at or been close to death. And, you know, there's people that have had near-death experiences often in their lives. There's people that experience this in informal settlements a lot. And, you know, it's not simple to make clear into people's minds that we need to first change society before we will deserve, firstly, a democracy, and secondly, being an independent republic, and thirdly, a leader or leaders willing to come to the fore to make themselves available in a direct election system. So anyone making themselves available now, they're opportunists, because the circumstances are not right yet for anyone to come to the fore to lead this country. And the other thing that I want to say is nothing is going to happen overnight. This is not possible. You can ask the government, our current government, to change things. It doesn't mean that they will. And I certainly didn't expect them to. So I was always ready for the long haul. And I said that I will spearhead this fight for us to be able to elect our leaders directly. And there's a lot of processes that need to follow to make that happen. 3 things that need to take place. We need to first have a new electoral system. We need to have a new governance system. And we need to have a new constitution to make all of that happen. So without that, it's not going to happen. And we're going to need the majority of the people in South Africa to agree with that. That's going to take a lot of education. It's going to take a lot of effort. So the message I bring is not an easy one, but it's the right one. And I only care about right and wrong. And I want to be on the right side of history, as I say in the introduction to this channel. And I really want to thank all the people that have watched the videos. We've passed 2.3 million views, which is incredible for a channel that's as young as 00 Days. And we are heading towards 21,500 subscribers. And this is with me chasing people off the channel, because the people on the channel that I want on the channel are people that should be able to think openly, go and do their own research, and become a leader in their own right. And that's something else that I want to ask people to do, is instead of wanting this leader to save them so they can sit back and do nothing, become a leader in your own life first. Then be an example to the people around you, your family. Then let your family be an example to your community. And this is how we will change the country. And I'm so happy that there are many other people standing up saying exactly the same thing, from various religious backgrounds and from various walks of life. The other thing I want to say, if there's any leader that is not inclusive in what they are trying to do, then they are not a solution. If you're not fully inclusive, you're not a part of the solution and never can be. So, Kolisang, Litsuani, our rights under the new constitution. Well, once it's written, everyone will be able to study it and you'll know exactly what you're supporting. I think this is very, very important, that we first get through the process. And the first process is to make people aware that, one, we have a global enemy, and secondly, that this global enemy is controlling our government. If you understand this, this is a good start. And then how do you prepare yourself to be able to withstand this onslaught that we're experiencing in the country right now? And this onslaught, we can only withstand if we are resilient and self-reliant, because at the moment we are sitting ducks. As I've said in the one video, that the NUL actually said that if they don't get billions of rands, that we won't be able to defend the country. And this is utter nonsense. we can make ourselves independent and resilient as individuals. We shouldn't rely on government or large corporations to save us, because they have gotten us to where we are right now. The large corporations are the corporations that got all the billions of rands to save their bacon, not the individuals on the street. And government has made sure that they still pay themselves these exorbitant salaries. Now, how exorbitant are these salaries? It's so exorbitant that 58 cents in every 1 rand of tax or VAT that you pay is used for government salaries. Then another 22 cents is used to repay South African debt. That leaves 20 cents for every South African. Now, 20 cents for every South African, it's impossible for us to sustain that trajectory. And the next thing that I want to tell you, and the focus has to be money. For government now, they have to focus us on money, because they have to try and get us to try and chase money again to work back that 500 billion that they loaned, because it's not money that's being loaned, it's our labor that's being loaned. And people need to understand that fully. So you're going to have to work back 500 billion in labor. So what you need to understand is that the day that you are born, then your ID number, when it's printed, money is being printed against the labor you will perform in the rest of your life. So you're a slave from birth within the system. And our current system doesn't give you an alternative outside of that system at all currently. There is no alternative. So all these people that are talking about solutions within our current political system that say, oh, we can change the ruling party from within, we can change the ruling party and all the other parties from within, and then just put better people and then fix the system, you're living in a dream world. People have been trying this for 26 years. I've seen good people go into a party and they come out the other end absolute zombies, because the system kills you. It stops you from being able to do anything. So another thing that's very important to understand is that each and every one of you can make a massive difference as an individual. That's why you should not at this stage worry about this wonderful leader that needs to rise up, whether you want to call it your Mandela or your Dela Rey or whatever, I don't care, your Shaka Zulu. That is not going to happen. There's going to be no leader currently to stand up to fight against this global enemy, which is controlling our government. The World Health Organizations, the United Nations, and all of these organizations that are bonding us for the rest of our lives. You are not going to be able to fight them through one leader. If all of us empower ourselves with knowledge and all of us become leaders in our own rights, then we stand a chance. And it's important that we take this chance, that we actually try to make that difference. This is crucial, that each and every person makes a difference. Now, how can you make that difference? The one thing that you should do is make yourself as independent of government and large corporations as you can. The next thing that you need to do is to make sure that you have food and water security. So I recommend that you have 3 months water and food storage. And this is for any eventuality. This is not for a specific date or for anything specific that's going to happen. If you had this before this COVID-19 pandemic was imposed on us, you would have been better off. So get 3 months food and water storage ready so that you are more resilient in the event of anything happening to you or something else happening in the country. Many of you have said that we might go into lockdown again in November. I can't quantify that. I can't say that it's going to happen at all. But if you are self-reliant, then you won't have to worry about that, would you? So remember, get yourself 3 months food and water security, storage. The other thing that you need to do is make yourself as independent of government and large corporations as you can. So what do you need to do? Support local businesses. It's very important that you either start a local business or support a local business. And if the business that is supplying you is not good enough, tell them that you expect more from them. Help them improve, but that money will go back to South African families and feed South African mouths. Research the companies you've been supporting and see where your money is going. And if you're spending your money outside of this country by buying at companies here that funnel their money out of the country, you are funding your own demise. This is very important to understand. So by you supporting local businesses, you can literally help make a huge difference to empowering people in South Africa. And this is a patriotic thing to do. There's absolutely nothing wrong with supporting businesses in your own country. Keep the money here. The next thing that you need to do is to get to know your neighbors, get to know the people around you. Now, many of us have lived in this capitalist and communist society because it's a mixture of capitalism and communism. Under the old apartheid government, about 70% of the workforce worked for the government, which is clearly a communist setup. Now, a lot of people will think, how on earth were they communist? Well, the evidence is everywhere. But the communist and capitalist systems were created by the world powers to control you and me, either via government or via the financial system. And you don't have freedom under that financial system at all. You cannot just take a piece of land somewhere in our country and build yourself something, a house where you will be able to live, grow vegetables, have some chickens, and whatever else it is that you want to sustain yourself. You don't have the right to do that at all at this stage. And you need to think about that. So the day that you go and celebrate that you got a bond at the bank, that day when you got bonded and you celebrate, you've been brainwashed to do that because it's not a celebration. Because for the rest of your life, you are now a slave to a system that oppresses us. And you need to start thinking about that. The very next thing that you need to think about is safety and security. And that can only be done in groups. So in our meetings, we actually discuss these things, and you should come to our meetings to actually get the full understanding of what can be done. Being visited by two beautiful sheep. There they run. In our country, we need to make sure that we actually plan and organize ourselves in the right way, in a way that is safe for all of us, and in a way that makes us resilient and self-reliant. Now, what does resilience mean? It means that you can face almost anything. Self-reliant means you don't have to depend on someone else to help you or to save you. Now, currently, with bad things happening in the country, the people often run to government for the solutions. Stop doing that. We are the solution. Okay? Because in a true democracy, the citizens are in charge. So we need to start acting like citizens in a true democracy, or else we do not deserve one, and we do not deserve a democratic leader at all. And at this stage, we have not proven that some good leader should come to the fore and lead this nation of people. And then I mean everyone. Where's that leader going to come from? Why would they want to lead this mess right now? Lazy people that are keyboard warriors that aren't willing to stand up and actually do something, actually have action on the ground. Many people have started doing that. And we have now met with over 2,000 people around the country. We're close on 100 meetings that we've had. And it's wonderful. Each and every person that came to the meetings, they were willing to get in a car and drive to where we are and help us to have that meeting. That is already someone acting, not just sitting behind a keyboard. And that is a big shift in people willing to actually do something. And the follow-up meetings, many people have attended the follow-up meetings where a solution is presented. And many people join that solution and become a part of that solution. There will be many other solutions put forward. I always tell people, if you don't agree with what I'm doing or what someone else are doing, do something. Promote your own idea. Don't sit and criticize. Do something, promote your idea, create a platform, and try and promote what you're doing. And if it works, I mean, I will follow you. I will get involved with whatever you're doing. If it's a better idea than what I'm suggesting right now, I'm all ears. Really. It's been tough going around the country with my family, with my wife and my 4 kids, in a car, traveling to different places, arriving at the meeting on time, doing a 5-6 hour meeting, sometimes longer, straight after going to bed, getting up the next morning, driving to the next venue, getting into the next meeting. You should try that and see what it's like. Some people think that we're on holiday. Anyone that's been to my meetings will understand that they should rather try that themselves. But I'm willing to do this to just create awareness, because this is what we need to do now. Create awareness so that people change. And I will start doing more live streams. I'll probably do a live stream every Saturday. I'm not going to set specific times. This is difficult for me. I had about a 4-hour-long meeting with the Liberty Fighters Network with Reino de Beer and with a strategist in Liberty Fighters Network, and we had a wonderful discussion. And it's important that we meet with different people and get their ideas around what we need to do in the country and strategize, because it is about strategy. And remember, these plans to control our lives has come from centuries now. And that ideology to take away your individual freedom, individual freedom for the greater good of mankind, is a long-established ideology that's been creeping into the school system and has been taught to your child right now. So earlier I spoke about capitalism and communism. They were established as two extremes, and then socialism was created to be a middle road to the New World Order. And this New World Order is not an organization, it's an ideology. And as I tell most of the people in my meetings, that you are the New World Order. You were born into it. You were brainwashed into it in school, church, many other institutions, by government, and to obey. So when this lockdown started, what happened? People obeyed. Why did they obey? I'll tell you just now. In 1984, my father attended a meeting that he told me about later. He told me about that meeting 20 years later in 2004. And he told me in that meeting that they were discussing things that would happen around the world. And specifically, this pandemic was spoken of. That a virus would be released that will kill people that are sickly. And that virus would spread in a very specific way. That it would spread from Kailicha to the Eastern Cape to Gauteng. And that there would be no vaccine for this virus. And he also told me that we would be put under house arrest. The whole world will be put under house arrest or house arrest, as he said, during that time. He didn't use the words lockdown. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you now is I want you to understand that this entire lockdown situation around the world was planned a long time ago. And it was to test our resolve. Now, the school system and the education system, the church system, and all the other system, government system, has gotten us to just blindly obey things. And because we blindly obey things, we are now in the situation that we're in. And now people are asking questions. Before the lockdown, if I said I wanted to go around the country and have meetings, I can tell you one simple thing. No one would have been interested. Why are people coming to these meetings and listening to me for 5 to 7 to 8 hours sometimes 9 hours? Why are people willing to do that? Because they need information. They don't need me to lead them or anything like that. The people are coming there for information. I could have stood behind a piece of cardboard and spoken, and the people would still listen. It's about information. And this is what the people in South Africa need right now. Drastically need as much information as possible. And on this channel, I went out and put out loads of videos that you can find under playlists. So if you go to the channel and you go to playlists, you can go and watch the Question Everything series, and I'll be adding to that series soon because I haven't in a long time. Then I also created the Moments in Time series, and the first 4 videos in the Moments in Time series, I want you to go and watch that to actually understand what this channel is about and what the story is about. And if you've watched those videos, you are ready to come to one of my meetings. So I would really like you to watch those videos in preparation. Contact me. You can tell me you've watched them, and then you'll be ready to come to one of my meetings. And we can have a proper discussion about the future plans and what we need to do for South Africa. We have 300 people watching now. Thank you very much for that. Oh, do we have the troll here again? People really don't be bothered with someone like that. It's very easy to get rid of them. Because I deleted the video last night, I couldn't get rid of the person, but it's easy to block them. So don't stress too much. Let's focus on the task at hand. So something that's very important is to know that all these people that are really desperate, and I understand their desperation, that want this leader to come and save whoever they think the nation is at this stage, whoever they think they want to represent them, that the time is not right at all. You know, my father, when he founded the Oranje Ontwikkelingskorps, which was supposed to be an area that would fight against the New World Order, he famously said that people will not be ready for change until they only have the clothes on their back. And I think he's probably right. We would have to lose everything. And just so that you understand, the monetary system will collapse. The monetary system has to collapse because it was established to be able to collapse because it's backed by nothing. The money that you work for is worth nothing. So it's just a representation of your labor. It's nothing else. And all governments around the world also need to collapse. So it's important that governments collapse around the world. Our government was set up to fail. This was a part of the plan. So don't think that this is something that you should wish for. It was planned all along. They were going to come into power and then they would collapse the country, which was the plan all along. What would happen then? It would be easier for people to beg for this new world order system where there's a one world government. And this is the plan. This one world government is the plan for our future. And we will all be heaped up into smart cities, which is part of Agenda 2030. And you will hear President Cyril Ramaphosa speaking about the smart cities all the time, as well as fast-tracking UN Agenda 2030. He actually made clear on my birthday, the 18th of September, that South Africa's main priority is the United Nations Agenda 2030 and implementing all of those goals. Not South Africa's goals, not the electorate's goals, because we didn't elect them. We voted for parties, right? So this is the problem we're stuck with right now. We elected parties. We voted for parties. They elected people that are serving an international government. And this international shadow government is literally controlling all the governments in the world. So there's no real governments out there that control anything. There's people that might be trying things here and there, but they don't control the finances. And as long as they don't control the finances, they don't control us and cannot control us. But I can tell you that finances control the actions of most people. And I actually saw someone earlier. I listened to his video. I shared it on my channel. It was in Afrikaans, where he said that we all are worshipping the capitalist God. Ons aanbid die kapitalistiese God. And as long as we literally live our lives by what we can gain from capitalism, and this is not an attack on capitalism, this is what it does to many people, that the bling bling that comes with it, we're not willing to relinquish that. We just want a leader to save us so that we can carry on with our wonderful life that we get out of working for a company, earning lots of money, getting the fancy car, getting the fancy house. You will lose it all. You will lose it all. It will come to an end. So what do we need to prepare for? We need to prepare ourselves for the time when those systems collapse. It has to happen. It is not a what if. It has been planned for so long. It must happen and will happen, even in South Africa. So if you're not prepared when it happens, and I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, okay? When it happens, you need to be prepared. So all we can do now is prepare ourselves to be as independent of government and large corporations as we can. Become as self-reliant as we can so that we can withstand those circumstances. If you can't, and you only dependent on large corporations, you're only dependent on government, you're not independent or self-reliant, what are you going to do when those structures fall away? What are you going to do? You will have no options. I want people of this country to have options, and I want other people in this country to understand things the way I do so that they can stand with me one day. I don't want to stand alone with my family because that's not going to work. I need more people to stand with us to understand the same threat and to prepare for the same threat. This is crucial, very crucial that this actually happens. So I will go through some of your questions now. Remember, I told you on Monday that, let me just get rid of this idiot quickly so all of you can feel better. There you go. So hopefully that is resolved now. Do you all feel better? Patrick is gone. So if there's anyone else that's bothering you, just let me know. If there's any questions, please ask me. No one has any better ideas right now. Eleanor, what better ideas? If anyone can come up with better ideas, please let me know. One thing that's very important is that we get everything done. We get a new governance system in place with a new constitution, a new governance system, a new electoral act so that we can elect people directly, choose our leaders directly. We need to do this before 2030 because that is when the United Nations 2030 plan comes to a fruition, and they then kick off the next phase up until 2050. We need to be an independent government, and we also need to be an independent nation, which is not the case right now. We are bowing down to global powers right now. Our president is bowing down to global powers. What has he done in the past when the police were on the ground? He actually, when the World Health Organization asked for the military, he set them free on us. 70,000 troops, he set free on us. Put them out in the streets. And a lot of people have begged for troops on the streets before. They don't know what they're asking because they are not subject to our current legal system, to our normal legal system. They are subject to military courts. And what happened when the military actually killed someone in his own yard for having a beer in his hand? Nothing happened to them. So you must be very careful what you wish for when you ask for the military to be let loose amongst the citizens of South Africa. So the military and the police did ghastly things during this lockdown time. There were many human rights violations. Many people were arrested illegally because the police didn't know their own laws. They were arresting people based on regulations that were put in place under the Disaster Management Act. And we were not under a state of emergency, which means all our constitutional rights are still intact. And no policeman can take that away from you. No president can take that away from you. So if there's any questions from any of you, you can ask me questions at this stage. Willem. Yeah, Willem, you're 100% right. He said to Tanya, you can do nothing about your money. It is worth what the powers to be decide it is. Remember, the Zim dollar is 100% correct. Tanya, your money can be turned into nothing very quickly. Remember, the monetary system was put there. It's a fiat currency system, which means it's backed by nothing. There's no gold to back it. You're literally working for nothing. This is a reality. If you come to my meeting, I'll explain it to you in a lot of detail. The fourth industrial revolution is a new world order plan to implement things that will monitor, track, and trace us and take us out of employment. So a lot of people, our government will say it's inevitable, it's just going to happen. That's rubbish. When people say, oh, but our kids got cell phones and they're on the internet in any case and they're worldwide, I say, don't give them a cell phone. It's that simple. So when people come with these lame excuses, really, I don't fall for it. What we need to do is look after the things that keep us alive. Now, if you come to my meeting and you come to the follow-up meeting that where Lauren will address you, she will discuss with you in detail what is needed for survival during this time, because she's come up with a brilliant plan that I 100% support, and that plan will work. And the people that actually listen to the plan, they understand that it's the only way to actually fight a global enemy, because most people want to fight our government. They don't understand what's going on. And a digital central bank currency coming out. Yes, they don't understand how things work in the world. So if you come to one of my meetings, I'll be able to explain to you how the world is put together based on world history and how that ties into South Africa. And then it's easier to make a decision on what to do in future. And I'm not going to tell anyone what to do in future. I can give you advice and you can decide what you want to do. But like I said, one thing that's very important is that we come up with a system in this country where we are independent of global powers and where each citizen becomes a sovereign being in their own right, where they can make decisions for themselves as long as they're not hurting people. And to do that, you need certain values and principles. That is very important. Rothschilds control the federal bank and any central bank. Have you heard of the quantum financial system? Jasara Nasara, of course I have. There's many things I've heard of. Just people understand one thing, and I'm really glad that the people from the Liberty Fighters Network understand this. Subversion is rife. There are so many things being put out there to subvert the real action on the ground. If any promise of a solution is out there that doesn't involve action from you, it's fake. It's there to distract you. So let me repeat that again. If there's any promise or solution out there that doesn't require action from you, it is fake. It's a distraction. So when people say that Donald Trump is going to save South Africa, if he doesn't get elected, we're going to die, I don't understand the relevance. Okay. I certainly don't want a libtard or a snowflake to be elected. But just understand one thing. We need to be our own heroes in this country. And we are going to be in a fight for freedom. I believe America is so far down the line of an ideological war that I think conflict is inevitable. There will be conflict, and the country will probably separate into two sections: those that believe in individual liberty and those that believe in the greater good of mankind, because that is a dividing line. I believe at this stage in South Africa that majority of people still want individual choice. But many of us have relinquished that during this COVID-19 lockdown because of propaganda. Now, where did this propaganda come from? From the media machine. Who owns the media machine? Naspers. Koos Becker is the person behind Naspers that actually control News 24 and all these other media groups. All the mainstream media groups controlled by one person. How is this possible? Think about that. Then think about all the largest food retail groups, as well as the cheapest clothing group. Pep, Shoprite, Checkers, controlled by one person. Then people controlling the largest part of the addiction industry in South Africa: tobacco, cigarettes, wine, alcohol, the Ruperts, as well as ammunition, making weapons, manufacturing weapons. Then the Oppenheimers controlling the mining side of the industry, our minerals, and we're getting nothing for that as South African citizens. So all it takes is 4 families and you can control a nation. Because now you're not going and planting veggies in your garden. You rather go to the shop to buy it for cheaper. And it is cheaper to buy it at the shop than it is for you to actually plant it in your garden. It's cheaper for you to go to Pep and buy clothes than it is to buy clothes to actually make clothes. And this was the goal all along. So think about this. What will you do when they can no longer supply you? What will you do if government can no longer supply you? What are you going to do? Okay, let me have a look at the questions. Well, the entire legal system is a huge problem at this stage. The legal system in our country is a disaster because, firstly, normal people don't have access to the high courts, and you need to pay a fortune to lawyers and banks and all sorts of institutions that loan money to people from this Rothschild-enabled system. They actually bamboozle us. They actually try and frighten us. And, the first thing I will tell these people is take me to court. And, the one thing they'll try and do is send you lawyers letters and do all sorts of things to put fear into you. But they are violating laws and our constitution left, right, and center. So the legal system is actually concocted of many people, and even the lawyers and attorneys, many of them that are unethical, work together. They like a club. So even your opponent's lawyers or attorneys will work with yours and then strike a deal behind the scenes, and they'll all make money and they'll go on their merry way. So this is something that the Liberty Fighters Network is also trying to expose, is how the legal system in our country firstly comes from Britain, which is controlled by the Rothschild family. And secondly, that legal system is not in the interest of the people of South Africa at all. And the evidence, I always say, look at the evidence. The evidence will tell you if it's working for us or not. It's not. It's not working for us. And after the Liberty Fighters Network make things clear on Monday, you'll see how the legal system needs to be used to get things for the better of the South African people, and how government can delay things and delay things and delay things. This is a proper trait of government. They will use any way or means to just delay things. And in the end, our constitutional rights are being violated on the ground. We may need cottage industries in our local communities or cell groups, self-sufficient. Jewelscape, that's 100% correct. If anyone that comes to the meetings will actually see what we propose, the reason why this can't go out on an open platform is because other people will just copy and subvert it. It's that simple, and it'll look like the real thing. Meantime, it's fake. It's very important that anything that a person does to actually fix this problem of global dominance and these global influences in our country is to not tell them what you're doing face to face, not give them the information. Just remember, it's important that what we do happens on the ground. This is crucial to having success. And thus far, we've been successful because of the way that we've been doing things. Can't fight the New World Order, but they control. Just remember, the New World Order is an ideology. And ideology actually sounds wonderful to many people because there will be no more crime, there will be no more murder, rape, theft, or anything like that. People will be monitored, tracked, and traced in a smart city environment, which Cyril Ramaphosa speaks about all the time. So you won't be able to put a foot wrong, but you also will be like a drone. You won't be able to live a normal life, go into nature, light a braai, and I'll still do a video, which I'm sure will go viral, that in future, you will not be able to light your braai. And we'll still get there. Septic, I couldn't agree more. Yes, any nonsense like that is no benefit to the country. I've said before, if someone is outside the country, I can only take them seriously if they're willing to come here and work on the ground to make a difference. Anyone else is either making money off of you or they're distracting you. So remember, if something doesn't involve you, if someone's not asking you to get involved in the solution, they are a distraction. I'm not giving you the easy message. I'm giving you the only message. It's not easy to tell people that, listen, you're going to have to do things and change your life. And I'm not saying give up everything you have at all. It's not like going and living in like the Amish. I believe in technology. I believe in using it properly. I believe in many good things. But we cannot give up our freedom or our liberty. The day we do that, we go beyond the point of no return. Once we are monitored, tracked, and traced completely, and we live in a fifth generation system that is developed to such an extent that our every move can be monitored, tracked, and traced, as with our cell phones right now. I mean, if you look at my cell phone, I cannot remove the battery from this phone. And I'm not bothered at this stage that anyone that wants to listen to me, listens to me. But that phone can be monitored, tracked, and traced as long as there's battery power there. And as long as it's with me, it is considering me as being the phone. You are actually the phone. And I'll explain that in detail in my meetings. So I'm really glad that you've come onto this chat. I didn't expect this many people to come on during this time of day. We've had over 350 people now for an extended period of time. And what other questions that you have for me? If there's any other questions, please put them out there. I will do more live interviews in future, and I would like you to share these live, well, they're not, besides the live interviews, live streams, where you can ask me questions. There's a lot of homework being done, Cosmic Surfer. That's wonderful because what I've done is try to kick the people off my channel that are just an annoyance and that aren't serious about doing anything. So I get a lot of unsubscribes, but the net growth is still positive, and that's a good thing. So I would like to believe that on this channel we have a lot of really good, steady supporters and subscribers. And remember, this is more than a YouTube channel. I'm just using this as a platform to get information to people. So I don't want to continue this chat for much longer. We're almost there for an hour now. And what is your take on astrology, subversive symbolism, and how it is used to mind control the public? Well, that is open to a lot of interpretation. Just remember, good symbols can be turned into something bad. The sun, for instance, is used as a symbol in many places. Now, what does the sun symbolize? Light, heat, survival, many things. A lot of people have said, but people worship the sun god. So, people need to decide what they want to see in symbolism, and it's really up to you. I think it depends on how someone uses something. Many words, like self-determination or self-reliance, a lot of people see it as a bad thing. In fact, in some countries, if you say you're self-reliant, then you're considered as being against the government. Absolutely. It is absolutely what you should do. Why should you be dependent on government? Listen, 21,400 subscribers is actually a lot. It's a lot more than I expected originally. Nelspruit, yes, we are coming to Nelspruit, Audrey. The sun illuminates and exposes. That is 100% true. So we need to see things for what they are. For instance, if you look at the Rothschild family, they put their symbol on the Israeli flag. And it's two inverted triangles. It's not the Star of David, which means as above, so below, which means that the Rothschild family literally believes that they are heaven on earth and that they are the solution to the world's problem. So, yeah, you can look at it in many different ways. So I'm really glad to see that so many people would come on to this chat now. Hannah, I will let you know. Just people, I'm going to put the number that you must WhatsApp for the meetings in the comments now, and you can take that down. It's 067 607 6428. You can just WhatsApp that number, and then follow up in Boksburg, Antoinette. We can be there soon, sooner than you think. So we are planning those things now over the weekend, and we'll be in contact with people from today with regards to the meetings. We've had to do a lot of admin work. We've had to contact a lot of people. And the other thing that needed to happen is people needed to settle their minds around what was going on with regards to certain things that happen in towns and a lot of craziness that happened all over the country on social media. And normally when that happens, I sit back, I just look at this lot and I stay out of it because I need to focus on the task ahead. And that is actually to get us to the point where we can elect our leaders directly. And there's a path to that. People that are, well, just remember how you spend your pension money, okay, is what is important, Rita Anderson. So even although you're dependent on your pension money, there will still be a form or a way for people to be looked after, unless the financial system collapses, in which case you will find certain people coming forward with solutions for food, like the Rockefeller Foundation. They are going around the country telling local councils how they will supply food security. So they will literally buy us out, and it might mean that you have to vaccinate yourself, or you might have to get a COVID pass or whatever. So they will want you to give up a certain amount of freedom for the right to eat or to drink water or whatever the case may be. But like I said, it's better for us to discuss the details in our meetings than in an open forum. So in the future, what we need to do, if Rita, if you come to one of the meetings, you'll understand how the communities can organize to take care of each other. But that's enough said now. No, we certainly don't want martial law. Willem, I am in Pretoria. I will tell you now, I am in Pretoria at the moment. Wilhelm, yes, I'm in Gauteng right now. William Segal, yes, talk of reinstatement of level 3 and 5. It's always a possibility. Just remember, if government have not achieved what they set out to do, it's always possible for that to happen. And just remember, the fact that Minister Zweli Mkhize now wants to take the powers upon himself to, outside of the Disaster Management Act, empower himself under the Health Act to actually enforce all of these lockdown measures on us still, shows you their intent to still maintain control. So they didn't know what would happen with the court case, and we'll see exactly what happened with that, with regards to that on Monday. But they are making sure that they don't need the Disaster Management Act. Minister Zweli Mkhize, he had an urgent meeting with the Committee on Health and asked him to support him to, under the Health Act, actually be able to put us under curfew, tell us what to do or not to do. There was a whole string of things that he said we can and cannot do. And I actually put that video out. If you go and look under my videos, you will see that video there where Zwelin Mkhize is now giving himself the power. So you won't need NDZ anymore. You won't need, even he said, you don't need the cabinet to make decisions then. Where currently, with the Disaster Management Act, cabinet needs to authorize everything. Under the Health Act, no cabinet authorization is needed. So the Minister Zwelin Mkhize will actually have more powers once he's done with his COVID-19 stunt, of course. I can tell you with elections coming up now, Alta, if they put us under further lockdown, they know that besides the fact that the country cannot recover economically after that, that their election chances are going down the toilet faster than you can say knife. So the ruling party will certainly be considering the fact that local government elections are coming up next year, and they are already in campaign mode. So the fact that local government elections are coming up is a saving grace for South Africa, because the politicians will start to consider elections and their positions and their fat salaries over the fact that the World Health Organization might want to force them in the direction of another lockdown. Hi, we will make a plan, Moira. We'll make a plan. Just contact me. We'll make sure that we can do something. We will have plenty meetings in Gauteng, people. Don't worry about Gauteng. Okay, we'll have plenty meetings here. The World Health Organization said that the lockdown is killing the economy. That is disingenuous of them, when they actually were the people putting out all this information and asking us to literally give up our livelihood. How many people in the filming industry, in the hospitality industry, in the entertainment industry have literally given up everything? They have nothing left. Yeah, Moira, contact me. You know that we will make sure that even if we have to visit you ourselves. Yeah, further lockdown, anything is possible if we get locked down again. I have to agree with that. I don't think government will do that easily. They might stay in level 1 lockdown and actually go and incur more restrictions under the same level, because psychologically people will be fooled by that. Just remember, we are actually still under curfew. Adults are under curfew. It's absolute madness. Yes, Nurawan, people are waking up. The Hidden Realms, yes. I'll be back in Cape Town the 18th of November. I can tell you that now. So probably the weekend just before. We'll probably have a meeting that Saturday before the 18th, and then start traveling back that Sunday or Monday to be back by Wednesday. So then we'll be back in Cape Town and we'll be doing more meetings there. But then we'll travel out to the rest of the country again. So we will again visit Grahamstown, the Garden Route, East London, all of these places we'll visit again, KwaZulu-Natal again. We will carry on until it's done. And I really, I don't want to forget, I want to thank all the people that have donated small amounts, some of you larger amounts towards this tour. I really want to thank you to make this possible, because if you didn't make it possible, we wouldn't be on tour. So there's literally hundreds of people around the country, probably approaching a lot more than that. Hundreds of people have donated towards this tour to make it possible, not just in money. They have given us food, they've given us accommodation, they've given us encouragement, they've given us hugs, handshakes, a pat on the shoulder. All these things make a difference. It is tough being on tour. It's not easy. And you would have seen in my previous videos, often I look very tired, but I made sure that I recover this week so I can get my 00 days sense back. It was very important for me to get that fighting spirit back. I don't want to go into a meeting and people feel like I'm half dead before I've even started. It's often been very tiring, so I'll make sure that I space meetings in such a way so I can have the energy and literally give you everything I've got. In every meeting, I've tried to do exactly that, but it is difficult. Jules Cape, thanks a lot. Boost your immune system. Well, we've had a lot of fruit. in this time now. We're staying at a place where our host is absolutely a wonderful man. He really believes in the cause. And I felt so bad earlier today when Reino and them came here and he introduced himself. And it was actually a closed meeting and I couldn't include him. The next meeting, he can certainly come and sit in with us and be a part of the discussion. But normally we try and hash things out first and understand where everyone stands. So I really want to thank him for just the fact that he would make a place available for us at the drop of a hat and help us in this way to be able to come to you in Gauteng. It wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for him and his generosity. So there's many people that have helped us along the way. And I just want to thank all of them. We've met so many wonderful people and it's really stunning. Okay, Davi, thank you very much. Yes, Juliet, I am a lot more rested. My family is more rested. I think this place almost feels like a second home. We spent a month here before. So when we came here, it felt like home. The person that's giving us the accommodation is just a wonderful man. He's got such a good heart and he just wants his country to succeed. And even in his age, he believes that he can make a difference, and he is. I mean, he's a hero in my eyes for what he's actually doing for the country. Because it's not just about our family, it's about everyone else that have been able to be accommodated here. Many of you have come to meetings here. Twice there's been 50 of us here, and it's been absolutely wonderful. Yes, we all have to build on a new future. That's so true. People, I need to go now. I need to get with my family. It was really nice spending time with you. I'll try and make a point of it to do it every Saturday. If I don't have a meeting either in the evening or in the mornings before meetings, so that I can have a live chat. I'll try and keep it to half an hour so it's not that long. But there's 367 people watching now. It's absolutely incredible that you've done this. Don't worry about trolls, people, really. The judgment has been received, yes. So the judgment is there. But to dissect it on a public platform is not going to make sense to people. So it's going to be best for Reino to actually make normal sense of it so that, well, he does make sense, but write it in a way that will make normal sense to people, and then we can discuss it with the public. So thank you so much. You must have a great evening and have a nice weekend further. We will be in contact with the people. Just remember that number. Let me just put it in again. Send a WhatsApp message. The 067 607 6428. That's a number that you can WhatsApp if you want to attend meetings in future. Just WhatsApp that number and then we can organize those meetings. So this recording is not going to be removed. It's going to stay there so you can share it with your friends and you can share it with your family and you can reference it if you want to. So thank you very much for coming on. And all the people in here that I've met before, thank you so much for everything that you are doing. Yes, it is a battle of good and evil, people. This is a battle of good and evil. So have a good weekend further, and thank you once again for coming on.